Hey there, Squirrel Army! It's time to do more precon upgrades. This is for the Orzhov Blood Rites Commander deck. So, I've already talked about the face commander for this deck and what I think about it and what I think this deck is kind of doing. So, I'm not going to spend any time talking about it really here. There should be a little card coming up above my head here somewhere to link you to that video if you do want to see it, but it is a fairly recent video on the channel here. It's easily findable on the channel, just in case I have forgotten, gotten busy or whatever. So it is there. You can find it pretty easily. Alright, so I've found myself the deck list. It's easy to find these deck lists. If you guys want to find these deck lists for yourself, just Googling up the list is very easy to find, and you can get it and reference it for later on for yourselves so that you know kind of like what's the go and what's going on with the deck when I'm discussing some of the cuts. Though it's not 100% necessary to know kind of what's going on in the deck. It just helps sometimes to like understand like this is what the list starts out with, just to understand, oh yeah, this card, you know, maybe I didn't have time to discuss, is a card that I added to the list, but just didn't really have that much time, or it's not that important or interesting to really talk about certain things. So, yeah.
You can join the Squirrel Army by subscribing.
Alrighty, so after a bit of finicking and fiddling, I've figured out a list that I'm alrightly happy with, I guess, for the most part. And again, I won't go too far without saying that if you're not interested, and I know 90% of people aren't really interested past a couple of minutes passed into these videos, so if you want to find the deck list, see what I've done to the deck and all of that stuff, it's down there in the comments below. You should know that already, but anyway, I know some people need reminding. If it's not down there, you should say deck list, question mark, but whatever. It is what it is. I know how it goes out there. People are busy and whatnot and just kind of want to see what the go is and move on with their day. For those people that do want to see more of an explanation, I will go through it as quickly as what we can. I won't really discuss the lands that I cut because they're all just tap lands that I don't really think are worth the time, and I just added some basics to the list, so it's pretty easy going there. So first off, Exquisite Blood. Like, we do have a few gain life triggers here and there, but we're not a gain life deck. It's like an alternate win condition, I guess, here that we could be using, I guess. But I think we're already kind of like doing enough like pinging and other sort of stuff, or we can just do more pinging and other kinds of stuff that will net us winning the game or get us closer to winning the game than what this is probably doing. So I just didn't think it was all of that. March of Canonized. It enters, makes a whole bunch of tokens. If you have devotion to white and black is 7 or greater. Look, we barely have any white stuff in this deck, so it's not going to happen very much. And then you create 1/4/3 demon. Like, that's way too slow and just doesn't do enough. So yeah, no. Martyr of Dusk, this one's actually alright, I think, for the type of deck that this is trying to be, which is sack things, recur them for value, etc. But I think it's a little bit too small potatoes. I don't know. It was tough to figure out what else to kind of cut. This is probably one of the better ones, honestly, I think, that I kind of cut, even though it's just a lowly common. I just found that there were other things that did kind of more, so. New Blood, just a one-off theft effect. Yeah, we can sack our opponent's thing or blah, 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 whatever, all that kind of stuff. But I'd rather just, like, if we're going to steal our opponent's stuff, we might as well steal it like on command rather than just like, oh, I happen to have this one spell and I happen to gain control of your thing or whatever. Sure, no, it's not enough. The Stolhawk Vampire, I'm not a huge fan of it. It is a big flyer a lot of the time, but it doesn't honestly do enough for us. It doesn't have any like legitimate text. Like, we don't really care about anything that it's doing. It's just a nice big flyer, I guess, which could be good, I guess, in some circumstances, but it just doesn't add enough to what we're kind of trying to do. Oathsworn Vampire, again, like, we are this like aristocracy style of deck, And this does have that kind of we sack it, we recur it, blah, 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 that kind of thing. It is only once per turn, so it can, like, there are a few other things that are in here that are once per turn, but I don't know. It's tough to sort of justify sometimes why something's in and why something else is not in or whatever sometimes, but I just felt like it didn't really do enough because it enters tapped, and it doesn't really give us any extra fodder like Martyr of Dusk does, so I think that's a lot better, but still I decided to cut it. Pact of Serpent, just these one-off effects aren't going to cut it in decks like this, I don't think. They never seem to for me. If you have different results, that's cool, but just drawing a whole bunch of cards always ends up badly because if you don't have any cards in hand and then you draw a whole bunch of cards, it's really good. But when you draw a whole bunch of cards and you actually have cards in hand, then you've got to discard cards. And yes, we can recur stuff, but still, no, just no. Alcatraz, I don't know. The sorcery is also kind of meh. Like, we can sacrifice something and make a demon. Sure, that's okay. And at the end step, if we can sacrifice a thing, and then we can populate. I don't know. It isn't that expensive, but again, it's like we're not making that many tokens. Like, not that we're making none, but like this doesn't feel like something that we would be doing. Like, so I don't really think it does enough. Radiant Destiny, like we're not we're not just trying to get in for combat damage with people, though that is something that we are also trying to do. But just it like City's Blessing is pretty easy to get going, but it is also kind of hard to get going at the same time. So it's just one of those things that I don't think it's worth our time. There are just other better things that we can be doing and other ways we can be winning. Return to Dust, I always find that Return to Dust is a little bit too hit and miss, especially since basically you've got to cast it at sorcery speed for it to do a good job of actually removing things. So I don't tend to like it very much. There are other cards that I feel are just better off for us. Sorin, I don't think Sorin does a whole lot of enough of things. Like, yeah, we can make tokens, yeah, we can buff up our stuff, and yeah, we can, like, ult him and destroy some stuff and return cards from our graveyard, but still, I don't know, like, I always find that Planeswalkers just, like, unless you're really dedicated to protecting them, they just die really quickly. So unless you're, like, winning with them, they're not that amazing, and this doesn't win us the game, really. Like, and it doesn't really help us with that much with what we're doing. Yeah, the token we can sack. Yeah, we can get in for some combat damage. Yeah, again, we can get our stuff back from the graveyard, but like I think we can find other better ways of doing that. Other end, it's just too expensive in terms of mana value for what it does, so just can get rid of it. Village Rites, again, these just one-off effects just aren't going to cut it. I'm not going to talk about the removal that I added to the deck, other than like Dictate of Erebos and like Grave Pact, because like it's all just like good removal that I decided to add. But just like those sorts of things, those effects that help us, cut down our opponent's boards are very, very useful for us. I added Dark Prophecy because we are sacrificing a lot of stuff. We do have a fair bit of life gain, and we also do start at 40 life, so we don't hate this. So we do need as much card draw as we can get. Twilight Prophet, like again, like the City's Blessing is hard to get, but it is a 2/4 flyer, so that does do pretty decent stuff. Plus, we still get the card advantage off of it, even if we don't have the City's Blessing, so that's still all right. It is only one card per turn, but that staple to a 2/4 flyer isn't too bad. And then Village Rites, we just sacrifice a thing, gain a life, and draw a card. So that's pretty good because we just like need to draw cards. I actually wanted to put Skull Clamp in here, I think. That's one card that I really wanted to put in. But yeah. Added Pawn of Ulamog because we get those free little dudes that we can just sack for mana and that, so that's fine. And also added Bontu's Monument. Because most of the deck is black, and we want to ping people for life, so that again, you know, we're getting them down in life totals. Actually, I probably wanted a Felwa stone or something else in here, but I probably couldn't find room for it. Added Taser Karlov because Taser's really good, just getting those extra death triggers. And added Drevnord. I know he's not a vampire, but it's really good to get those extra death triggers and that, so it's just super strong. You could replace it with something else, I guess, but still, it's super good. Also added Vat of Rebirth just to recur some more of our stuff. And also Phyrexian Reclamation, just again, more recurring of our stuff is pretty good. And then added Vindictive Vampire, just again, more drain, more pinging is very good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for what I added into this one. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it, and you guys can always let me know whether you did or whether you didn't. Writing your thoughts down there in the comments below. Hope you guys will join me again in another one.